Today's Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. And we're talking on the platform Sutra, the chapter of Samadhi and Wisdom. And last time when we stopped, we were talking about the Chan understanding of Samadhi. It's Samadhi and wisdom are simultaneous. That is when the mind does not follow conditions. That is Samadhi. So why can the mind remain unmoved? Because one realizes there's no reason to give rise to the so-called I and its vexations. When vexations do not arise, that is wisdom. And since wisdom and Samadhi are inseparable, that is also Samadhi. So here, do you understand what mind follow conditions means and what mind does not follow conditions means? So then you understand Samadhi and Prajna are one. And the talk ended on October 12, 2025. Now let's continue. Then what does environment follows the mind means? So let's explain the phrase, the environment follows the mind. This may not be easy to understand. It means that the external environment changes according to one's mind. When people hear this, they often imagine some miraculous power, as if one could turn iron into gold, or instantly transform the world outside. For example, if we advocate environmental protection, and we all think that keeping the environment clean, would the world around us automatically become pure and spotless? Of course not. That's why people misunderstand this phrase. This teaching is not self-deception or fantasy. It's like saying, I'm living in a thatched hut, but I will tell myself it's a skyscraper. Or I'm hauling stones and bricks, but I will imagine I'm moving gold and diamonds. That would be just lying to yourself, wouldn't it? Everyone can still see you live in a hut and carry stones. To call them diamond is not environment following the mind. It's self-delusion and self-hypnosis. For those with deep cultivation, however, the environment follows the mind becomes possible. Just imagine one calm, clear-minded person in a household. Because of their stability, the entire family gradually becomes peaceful and stable. Consider this. If a house catches fire and everyone panics, but one person stays completely calm, saying, don't be nervous, listen, Here's how to put out the fire, or how to escape safely. That calm person can save many lives. If everyone panics, all may perish. If even one person keeps a steady mind, perhaps 80% could escape. Only the remaining few may depend on luck. So, would you rather everyone panics and die, or let one calm mind guide the rest? It's the power of one person's mind influencing the entire situation. Originally, everyone was doomed, but because of that one calm person, most survived. Do you believe that's possible? Are you that kind of person? So among our teachers, lay disciples, many have shared family problems. Say husband and wives on the verge of divorce, siblings or parents and children in conflict. Some say, I believe in Buddha and recite Guan Yin's name, the Bodhisattva, Avalokitesvara. So Guan Yin Bodhisattva should save me. But after months of chanting, the conflicts remain. Then they come to our teacher and say, Master, I recite Guan Yin's name, but nothing changes. We still fight. What should I do? Then our teacher tells them, it's not that Guan Yin Bodhisattva is ineffective. It's that you are ineffective. You must transform your own mind. When you chant Guan Yin's name, learn to become like Guan Yin, compassionate, gentle, and patient. Then your situation will change. Well, there's an example. A wife once came to our teacher saying that her husband was terrible. He drank, gambled, womanized. And when he came home, he scolded and beat the wife and the children. So the wife asked what to do. Then our teacher told her, chant the name of Guan Yin Bodhisattva. Don't worry about your husband. Just focus on your chanting. Recite the great compassion mantra, the great compassion mantra, or Guan Yin's name 200,000 times. It will work. Half a year later, she returned and said, thank you, Master. And our teacher asked, so it worked? And she said, yes, very effective. So our teacher asked, so your husband no longer drinks, gambles, or chases women? She said, no, he still does all that, but he doesn't scold me anymore. And our teacher asked, why? She said, because I stopped scolding him. Our home used to be full of fighting. Now it's peaceful. So she felt her chanting was effective. Now, was that the mind following the environment or the environment following the mind? Of course, it was the environment following the mind. And this is not self-deception. When your own mind changes, your surroundings will naturally change. And that's why practice truly works. There is response and transformation. But don't rely on blind faith in miraculous responses. Change your mind first, and the response will surely appear. Then come another one from the Platform Sutra. If you chant with the mouth, but not the mind, you will still follow conditions. Suppose in an office, the manager or staff are all emotionally unstable and irritable. Would that office be happy, relaxed, or comfortable? Well, absolutely not. It would be full of tension and suffering. But if the manager or even one staff member is calm, patient, and kind toward others, the entire atmosphere improves. Even if the pay is low, people won't want to leave such a workplace. In another company, you might earn more. But if everyone is angry and tense, life there would be miserable. So in any family, if even one person maintains inner peace, the children become filial, the spouse and parents benefit from that person's virtue. Likewise, in an office or organization, if you remain centered and stable, you will influence many others. Even if you are not the supervisor, this is the environment following the mind. It's not magic. It's something we can train and realize. That is how the Platform Sutra becomes meaningful in daily life. Otherwise, you might just memorize its verses. When wisdom functions, samadhi is present. Within it, you could recite them perfectly. But if someone disagrees with you and you immediately argue back, then all that recitation is useless. Once, after our teacher gave a lecture on true and false, someone jokingly asked him, "Master, are you true or false?" And our teacher said, "What do you mean?" And the person said, "I mean, was your talk true or false?" And our teacher replied, if you think it's true, then it's true. If you think it's false, then it's false. I myself am neither true nor false. I can be either, depending on the need. In worldly matters, there's no absolute truth or absolute falsity. And that is the Buddha Dharma. Then we come to this phrase, let the mind arise without abiding anyway. What does that mean? This sentence is a key point of the Platform Sutra. Let the mind arise without abiding anyway. This was discussed when speaking on the Diamond Sutra. And earlier in this Platform Sutra lecture as well. It is the central point of the Diamond Sutra, and likewise the central point of the Platform Sutra. Now, abiding and wisdom, non-attachment. So in this non-abiding, the word abiding means attachment, being influenced. Non-attachment means not arousing discrimination of good versus bad, right versus wrong, acceptance versus rejection, love versus hate. Well, in short, not clinging to any dualistic standpoint. Such clinging is what is called abiding. So again, there's an example. During a 7-day Chan retreat, our teacher explained that in non-abiding, one should not harbor a dualistic, grasping mind. That is attachment. So a practitioner, a participant, went to the restroom. The men's room had a long line. The women's room had none. So he plunged into the women's room. Then someone reported, Master, he went into the women's restroom. He broke the rules. And our teacher waited for him to come out and ask, did you enter the men's room or the women's room? The reply was that non-abiding. So our teacher replied, non-abiding? Is that so? And used the incense board and tapped him. And he protested. Why did you hit me? And as our teacher said, non-abiding. If you are struck, don't fixate on having been hit or on the pain. Don't form that mind. Abiding, right? So it is easy to say it with the mouth. Do you really understand? What he meant was, don't differentiate male and female. I am cultivating without a mind of male or female. So that was the participants. saying. But a man is still a man, and a woman is still a woman. You cannot erase that distinction. So our teacher later added, let the mind arise without abiding anywhere. The mind still must arise. Non-abiding means not giving rise to discrimination, yet the mind, that is the function of knowing, remains. For example, green is green, white is white, a man is a man, a woman is a woman. This is clearly known. Non-abiding does not mean turning everything into a muddle. It means not being tempted, disturbed, or influenced by externals. Seeing a woman, you know is a woman. Beauty is beauty. Plainness is plainness. You recognize a person, yet you do not immediately think, if only she were my wife or girlfriend. That would be abiding, namely greed. Seeing money, money is money. If your eyes light up and you think, if only it were mine, that is abiding. To recognize money and its amount while the mind remains unmoved is different. You may think, if someday this money becomes mine, it should be by proper means. If it does become yours, it should not be by grabbing it. Consider how others obtain their wealth by normal methods, and you too may obtain it through proper means and effort. Don't see someone's fine car and house and think of stealing the car or burning down the house because you can't live there. This is abiding. Non-abiding means not letting the environment provoke afflictions, say greed, anger, arrogance, confusion, while the mind of knowing remains clear and lucid. Now, there's an example. Non-attachment does not mean confusing black and white. We have another story. In San Francisco, there is Venerable so-and-so, a renowned teacher who often spoke about emptiness and urged people not to cling. One of his disciples was named Constantly Empty. The master would tell him, constantly empty, you must be empty. And what happened was that he took it literally. His stomach was empty, so he ate a lot. And the master would say, constantly empty, your stomach is empty. What happened was one day he defecated into a bowl, placed it on the dining table alongside his bowl of rice, and a bowl of vegetables, enjoying the communal meal. Those nearby smelled it and alerted the attendants. Terrible, constantly empty has brought feces to the table. The attendants scolded him. Are you crazy? Take that away. He answered, non-abiding. Don't be attached. Why are you attached? Then Master so-and-so heard and came personally, saying, you may leave now. Please go. The disciple asked, Master, do you still have attachments? And the Master said, I do, and today I'm attached to asking you to leave. The disciple argued, if you have attachment, how can you ask me to be without attachment? Then the Master replied, I'm not attached to attachment or non-attachment. I'm telling you to leave. You are mentally unwell, bringing feces to the table. The disciple was reluctant to go, so others advised him, Senior brother, aren't you non-abiding? If you are unattached, staying or living is the same. Why insist? Just go. He thought it over, agreed, and left. And later, he disrobed. Even seasoned practitioner can err like this. She simply hadn't understood what non-abiding means. Non-attachment does not mean inverting black and white, erasing male and female, or ignoring order and propriety. So non-attachment, non-abiding means not being swayed by conditions to generate vexations. The mind should not abide, yet mind clear knowing remains. A man is still a man. A woman still a woman. Hence, in our assemblies, we seat men and women separately. Our rules are strict. Now, this is what I mean in Taiwan. Beyond male and female, there is also the clear distinction between monastics and laity. This is ethics. There remains the relationship between teacher and disciple. If non-abiding erased these, saying the teacher is not a teacher and the disciple not a disciple, that would be absurd. So in the teaching of Master Huineng, samadhi and prajna are learned equally. Now, this chapter is about samadhi and prajna not being separate. When wisdom functions, samadhi present within it. When samadhi is present, wisdom functions within it. If you understand this, you cultivate samadhi and prajna equally. In general Buddhist circles and many scriptures, one often hears, first enter samadhi, then wisdom arises, implying separation. Without samadhi, wisdom is hard to obtain. In the other school of Buddhism, wisdom arises after emerging from samadhi. But is samadhi itself identical with wisdom? In the sequential samadhi of the other schools of Buddhism, there is no wisdom within the absorption or within the samadhi. Rather, after emerging from samadhi, the mind is clearer, and thus wisdom arises. Hence, the triad, precept, samadhi, and wisdom. Keeping precepts facilitates right samadhi. From right samadhi arises right wisdom. But right wisdom must accord with right view, a correct understanding of the Dharma. So precepts lead to right samadhi. Right samadhi yields right wisdom, and right wisdom necessarily accords with right view. These are linked. Yet, in the Platform Sutra, samadhi and prajna are presented as the same phenomenon, without a before and after. One who cuts off affliction and awakens, who has realized seeing one's nature and the Buddha nature, and the Buddha nature necessarily possesses wisdom. And this is right wisdom. For one with wisdom who has several afflictions, the mind is not swayed by externals so as to produce affliction. That is wisdom and is samadhi. Why? Because the mind does not shake or become confused. That is samadhi. Thus, in Chan, where there is wisdom, there is samadhi. And where there is samadhi, it is inseparable from wisdom. So let's continue on with the translation. Student of the way, do not say that first there is concentration, which produces wisdom, or that first there is wisdom, which produces concentration. Do not say that the two are different. To hold this view implies a duality of Dharma. If your speech is good, but your mind is not, then concentration and wisdom are useless because they are not equal. If mind and speech are both good, the inner and outer are alike, and concentration and wisdom are equal. Self-enlightenment, cultivation, and practice are not a matter for debate. if you debate which comes first, then you are like a confused man who does not cut off ideas of victory and defeat, but magnifies the notion of self and dharmas, and does not disassociate himself from the four marks. So let's give him a little bit more of an explanation like this. All good knowing advisors, those who learn and practice chant meditation, must possess a right view. Do not say, first comes samadhi, and later comes wisdom, or first comes wisdom, and later samadhi. Treating samadhi and wisdom as two separate things. If one practices chant with such an understanding, it is not right view, because it divides chant into two. Some people can enter samadhi yet cannot distinguish between good and evil. Others can lecture on sutras, read scriptures, or write books, but their mind and speech are not in accord. Such people do not truly have right wisdom. Their practice does not correspond to the unity of samadhi and wisdom that I speak of. If you understand and conduct inner and outer body and mind are fully consistent and without discrepancy, and your actions are in harmony with samadhi and wisdom, then you are a genuine practitioner of chant. Anyone who is enlightened or cultivating samadhi and wisdom must have non-contention, which is argue, have no argue as a fundamental condition. If one has already centered the path of practice, but keeps competing, struggling, or rushing to cultivate this and that, such a mindset is deluded. Why? Because this person's mind is full of distinction between self and others, competitiveness, and pride. This increase the attachment to both the notion of self and no self. Practicing with such a mindset, one still cannot transcend the four marks of self, person, sentient being, and lifespan. So I will end the talk here.
Bảo,